to just table meal ideas in under 15 minutes, although I must admit I haven't put one up in a while, but I have been really busy. So the question is, what does a prepper's fridge look like? And I thought we'd discuss this topic because I really don't see it discussed enough. It's really important because if what we're looking at as people who in the community are looking to store our food for long-term security, food security, for the well-being of our family, it's really, really important. So let's have a look bit by bit of what I put in and just explain why it's there and why other things aren't. So one of the concerns obviously is something going wrong with, a solar flash or something like that, or just our electricity going off for one reason or another, and you don't have a fridge. Now, sometimes that might be for a few days, or it might end up being for a year. And how would people react? Well, in the West, especially the UK, you're looking at people suddenly in a really difficult mind screw of a situation because they're so used to butter and milk. What do you do in that situation where, you've got 20, just a few hours and milk starts to go off if left on the work surface. So people are just not going to know what to do. And in winter, that's okay because you can put it outside. But even then, they'd have to use their heads as to work out, because a winter's sun can be quite warm. So I've gone through the process of trying to do without a fridge for the last, well, not without a fridge, but finding ways in my home to not be reliant on it. And so far it's worked really well. One of the ways, I will be putting up other pictures, by the way, you'll not just be looking at this. But window treatments. So the window treatments, that means curtains and blinds and stuff like that in your fridge if you don't have a cellar. And if you've got a cellar, great. But I follow the sun. I'm very aware of where the sun is placed in my home because I grow my own salads. So because of that, and with grow lights and all other sort of considerations, I'm very aware that I like to try and keep my my kitchen at 15 or below centigrade. So my kitchen has become sort of it's a very cold environment, and that's how I like it. So when the sun comes round into my kitchen, my blind goes down. And but when it's not pouring into my kitchen, then my blind goes up. Do you see? Because that will greatly affect the temperature in my kitchen. Now, I've got cured meats hanging up in my kitchen, and it's things like that, and jars if you can, your food. A sudden changes in temperature will change whether will alter your the longevity of your jars. And I do notice that in the summertime, if I do have any that suddenly pop, it's because the temperature in the room has suddenly gone up, and that's why I chase the sun in order to cover it up. So anyway, let's get on to some pictures, and we'll start to discuss the fridge door, I think, first. So you can see here on the top part of the fridge door, I have the usual condiments of mustards and stuff like that, and I've got some brown sauce there. I've also got a 1000 milliliter jar of whey, which is the product that you have left over after making your own cream cheeses and yogurts and stuff, and that's great for pancakes. Makes the best pancakes. They taste so yum. And I've got yeast there for when I brew my ciders and wine. I want to keep that fresh, as well as baking breads and so forth. And so usual condiments are at the top of my fridge. At the bottom of my fridge, I've only just started doing this actually. I've started buying milk again, and I haven't bought milk for about 4 years, but I usually just use powder. But I've gotten into the luxury of, because you can make yogurts out of milk powder. But anyway, and you can get milk powder whole, but non-organic online in large quantities, and you can get organic semi-skimmed milk online. And so I use the whole for the yogurts and the cheeses, and I use the semi just for teas and coffees, and again pancake mixes, things like baking, you know. But yeah, I've gotten into the habit, but I'm quite happy to get out of the habit, but it's a bit of a luxury at the moment. So I will go to the supermarket once a month. I buy 4, and I know that for my family, 6-pinter will be enough for yogurt and cream cheese for 1 week. So I buy 4. 3 go in the freezer and 1 goes in the door. But I'm not reliant on that at all. That's just purely a luxury at the moment. So we'll go to the crisper then. If you are using windowsills, balconies, gardens, a grow room for growing your own lettuce, gherkins, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, and you're doing all of that, your crisper almost becomes completely defunct. And so at the moment I'm storing some of my whole powdered milk in there, because it is recommended to make sure that your whole powdered milk is kept in a cold environment. I mean, I never used to, I'll be really honest, but I thought I've started to get into the habit of making sure it's in there. So yeah, there's that. Now a word on the water. I do have a reverse osmosis underneath connected to my sink tap for drinking water, but and I've started to, well, not started, for the last 3 years I've kept bottles filled up just in case anything happened to my reverse osmosis, to be honest. But if we're going to look at this really, really long term, then you either can your water, or another alternative is to put it into glass square containers. I would, if that was the case, I've got glass shelves. I'd probably want to reinforce that glass shelf because that's a heck of a lot of water, or remove it altogether and just sort of remove that and the crisper, and just start to put it in with sort of, you know, those IKEA glass rectangle boxes with the BPA free lids, and just put them on there, and that can keep you going for a week until you can figure out another way to get water. Because people have to understand that if the electricity goes off, not only does my reverse osmosis stop working, but also you've got the water power plants, they're going to also stop working. So at that point, you know, if you haven't got it in your home in a container, and you don't live by the sea, or you don't have a stream nearby, you're kind of screwed unless you've got a good water catchment situation set up in your home with a filter for drinking. I've got a few things in what's it, the Straw for Life, or Life for Straw, or whatever it's called. I've got that, but I'm going to be buying a few Grail, GRAYL, drinking containers, because that allows you, where with the Straw for Life you have to suck up. Well, I can't suck up and spit out water if I need pourable water. So I'm getting one of those because I think that'll be really useful for catching rain and then filtering it through there. I've got to find a better way, but for right now, that will do for an emergency. Right, moving on. This shelf is just for lard and butter. And I've got my organic yogurt pot there waiting to be a starter for my own yogurt making. But I've got my trusty black tray there that is filled with cured meat. So eventually that bag of powder, I've got milk powder, I've got to move that down into the crisper, but that'll eventually be done. So that's kind of my protein shelf. I can make my own lard and I can make my own butter, but I have found it impossible to buy cream in large quantities anymore, and so I'm just trying to buy a few extra every week, and so that it is what it is. So that's that. And I was hoping that my pig would give me a lot of lard, but that wasn't possible this time round. And lard and butter are the two things I would like a good supply of, and so that shelf I would move. It's quite a narrow shelf, that really. I would move the shelf up a bit because I intend to have that an awful lot fuller by a few months' time. But of course, lard and butter can be stored almost indefinitely anyway, so you can the lard up. That's good, and I always make sure there's a bit of lard anyway on most of the tops of my meat jars. And with butter, you can turn it into ghee by rendering it down, skimming off, I forgot what it's called now, but skimming off the milk proteins from the top, and just can it. So that doesn't need a fridge, to be honest, as long as there's no air getting to it. Just can it up. And of course, the cured meat, well, it just needs a cellar temperature. It just needs a cold, damp environment, and it needs the damp just so it doesn't dry out. So if you haven't got a damp area like a cellar, well, then you vacuum seal it there. You don't need the damp environment. So all you need now is the cold environment, and it doesn't need to be as cold as a fridge. But it does need to be chilly, So that's up to you to find a cupboard or somewhere where it is dark and it is cold. Now, I told you I've been quite busy, so I haven't been able to make for about a week or two. I haven't been able to make my own version of Philadelphia, so it's up there, bought with some ham, shop bought. But this next shelf is for my powders. So I've got my egg powder is in there stored, because you should always put well, you should, I don't like shouldn't, but it's best that your egg powder should be put in a cold environment. So that goes in there. Then I've got 2 jars, as you can see, of and they're pancake powder. So it's already prepared. The egg powder's in there. It's been sieved. The flour, raising agent, and self-raising flour. But there's because I like to add a bit of raising agent to my self-raising flour. Salt and something else, but I can't remember. Oh, milk powder. So that's all in, and I've got 2 of them, and I've just stuffed them in. Lemon juice should always be kept in a fridge or a cold environment, and as you can see, I have got some jars of pickles and canned stuff that's in there. Next shelf. And so now, lastly, the last top shelf. Now, this gets swapped around, mattering to how many eggs I get. I usually get 3 to 4 trays of eggs each month. And what I do is I crack open about 2 trays worth into silicone cupcake trays. And I store a certain amount in there. And then I take them out, separate it, put it in a bag and stick it in the freezer. But that's a luxury I don't depend upon, and that's why I only put sort of a tray of eggs, and the rest is kept in the fridge. Now, I kept mine in for, oh gosh, about the last lot. I didn't do an awful lot of egg eating, but or cooking, but I tested them in a glass, not a glass, a bowl of water, and they were pretty fresh, and that was about 3 weeks, so that's fine. But I buy frozen, but I buy dried egg anyway, and I have enough to last me probably 6 months. I've got to get some more. It'd probably last me a lot longer than that, actually, because I haven't dipped into it for a while. But I do have at least 6 months worth of that, but I do have to get some more. So yeah, it's sometimes when I have and I'm coming out of having a month's load, so I think I've only got 2 eggs in the fridge. So when I get my 3 or sometimes even 4 trays of eggs at the beginning of the month, then I have to sort of do some manoeuvring around. So I just wanted to have go back and have a quick chat about the water then, because I realised looking at the first part of this video there was something I missed. So the reason why my water at the moment is on a constant cycle in those old squash bottles is simply because it's one of the things on my list. But having thought about it consequently or subsequently, or I don't know, whatever the word is, recently, I've realized that I was trying to work out how I wanted to do it. I didn't want to can it, although that is a really great method, but I didn't want to can it because it was going to take up an awful lot of space, and I guess really I could still do it, because then it's not really reliant on anything. It's vacuum sealed in a sense, so that would be the method, and I might still do that. But another alternative is, getting those, as I said, I'm still mulling it over, but getting, I don't like anything preserved in plastic as much as I can. I don't mind them lidded, but I don't really want. I don't know. I don't know. But the closest I've come to is glass rectangles, very deep ones, and just putting them in there because I can always use them anyway for other things. But yeah, water's a big issue. If we can't find ways to use the rainwater that we have, and even if you live in apartments or flats, you can put a gutter system and have a guttering along your rail on the outside of your balcony, and you can catch your own water if you're clever enough, and have it filter into get a filter system, and then you can start canning and preserving your rainwater, which has gone through some form of filter system, a good filter system. That way, there are ways to do it. I just haven't quite figured that out yet on how to do it for me, in what is preferable for me. But yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned this. Talking lastly with water is about canning without adding salt. Now, salt helps, one, get minerals into the food that we're canning. Two, it helps with heat, radiation, whilst canning, circulation. But I'm going to make the decision, and I have already started doing it, to be fair, of not adding salt, because if there is a time where we cannot get hold of water, then that will dehydrate us. It is good for mineral consumption, but I also don't want it to make us thirsty. And so either a teeny pinch of it you could do for mineralization for ourselves, but also this is the difference between dehydrating and canning. You see, when you're canning and you add liquid, and I will always add water to meats and stuff like that, and potatoes, because it's a great way of adding liquid into our diet if I haven't got any. And for me, I won't use tap water under any circumstance. I won't. I don't like going out and drinking tea and coffees at cafes. I don't buy ice cubes. I don't have any of that. That's, probably really like far off out there for some people to understand. But for me, having good clean water and reverse osmosis, and I add minerals. I have a mineral filter that adds the minerals back into my water that I reverse osmosis, then I'm good to go. But I do understand that liquids are really important to put into and to be able to consume. So if I have got, cans of beans, cans of carrots that I've canned myself, I want to be able to use that water, utilize that water to be able to either add and keep for more stews for the next following few days, or I want to be able to drink it. And that if you buy canned foods in your supermarkets, you don't want to drink that stuff. Ew, you don't want to drink it, and you don't want to really reuse it. So it's actually, for me, it's an added security for me, having, as I say, everything canned with a certain amount of liquid. The only thing you can't do that with, of course, is your vinaigrettes. But the vinaigrettes with our pickles, they are great for, just keep it, because vinegar is good for you. So keep it for all that grown salads that you're growing. So yeah, I try not to throw anything away. I try to have a second use for everything. But right, okay. Well, I hope you found it interesting or thought-provoking. And if you've got a comment about it, give me some feedback. Put it in the comment section. Okay, bye.